Hey guys, welcome back to another YouTube tutorial on my channel. In this video, we're going to be looking into another jam-packed application with a full stack, backend, front end. We have database, authentication. We're also going to be having Stripe payment processing and also end up deploying the app. So, and also we're going to have like AI as well. So in this one, we're going to be using Gemini AI, which is Google's AI. In the last tutorial, we used OpenAI. I'm going to change things up a little bit. Gemini is from Google. It's really cool and easy to use as well. So we're going to be implementing that in this project. So before I talk more about the technology, let's dive into details. So we have the Magic Social, the app's called. It's an AI content generator. So anytime you create a social media content, you can just come to this, write some stuff you want to do, and then it's going to generate the AI content for you. Super easy and makes our life a lot easier. So we're gonna go into more details. So let's log in here using Clerk as usual. We're gonna be using that for authentication. Once I'm authenticated, you're gonna see I'm in the app as well. And one thing you'll notice, we are on the deployed version. So it is not a local host. So this is a deployed live version. Even the Stripe we're going to be using is live as well. We're going to be using a live Stripe API webhooks to do all that, which I'm going to walk through every step of the way as well. So first thing you're going to see is we have authentication over here. You can sign out, manage account. Then you have some categories in this search bar. This is basically like a search dashboard, and this is a template. So we can search using the categories. You can search using the search input, maybe Instagram, LinkedIn, so everything searched up. And then we have the template itself. Once you go into each of this template, you're gonna see a title input and an outline text area. So you can like type in what you want from the AI. The AI is gonna generate the content for you. This one is catered to the YouTube. Then we can go back and see we have a tweet over here. We can like generate a tweet. You can like LinkedIn post, Instagram hashtag as well. Next, before I dive into a generation, I'm gonna go through the app a little bit so you have more ideas. So we have like a history over here. This one have all the history. Once you generate something from the Magic tool, everything is gonna be saved over here. So the AI description is gonna be in the description. The title is whatever you title, and the template you use. We're gonna also have time is created. So all is been pulled from the database. And then we also have upgrade over here. So the upgrade is gonna give you a $10 one-time purchase option. This is by Stripe. Give you a 10,000 AI credit, which is gonna be added in here. By the way, this is the ShadCN latest charts. ShadCN dropped a new component called charts, which is a visualization. So this gives you that. It also comes with a tooltip. As you can see, if I hover over, you can see how much I have available to use on the credit and how much I actually use. So let's start doing some stuff for the generation, and then we'll come back and show you how I can purchase some stuff. So I'm going to do a YouTube generation. I'm going to try to make a video called how to run a marathon. Give me YouTube description idea on how to run a marathon. I'm gonna say make it short, and then I'm gonna click generate. The AI is gonna take in all the output and it's give you some output, and there you go. We have how to run a marathon beginner's guide. Description is short and sweet. Ready to conquer 26.2 miles. This video breaks down everything you need to run your first marathon. And we also give relevant description keyword, marathon training, marathon tips, first marathon to help find my videos. We also have a call to action. So this is really good. I make it short, so it gives you a short summary of it, but you can leave it out. It's gonna give you a like more longer summary of the description. So we are using Gemini AI for this, so it's giving us some really cool stuff, useful ideas. Let's go to the output history. You can see we have an output history over here, how to run a marathon. And then we have a YouTube description template. We also have date over here. So everything has been saved from it in the database and it's been pulled from the database. We have upgrades, so let's go ahead and upgrade some stuff, and you're gonna see some changes on our charts as well. So go to the purchase. It's giving us some Stripe webhook page, and then I'm gonna do is type in my information and a test Stripe credit card, and then right here I'm gonna pay. It's turned green. The payment will be successful. We're gonna go back to our app, and you can see we have our AI chart, a ShadCN chart change. We added 20,000 to our credit, so 10,000 was for free when we joined, and 10,000 when we purchased. So it added 20,000 total. 1,200 is being used, so we generate some stuff, so it's been used a little bit. Every time we refresh, you're gonna see the animation here as well. So it's all ShadCN charts. So it's all been deployed in the link over here. So I'm going to walk you through the technology one more time. This time it is Gemini AI from Google. So this is what we're going to be using. They have like a really nice feature, over here. So this is what we're going to do. For the Clerk, we're going to use authentication. A database is going to be Neon, which is Postgres. And then we're going to do a ShadCN. ShadCN have a lot of cool component for UI. So this is a chart component that just dropped, and we're gonna be using one of their chart components. So yeah, that's the technology aspect of it. So yeah, and then we're gonna be using Stripe as well to handle our payment and deploy using Vercel. So it's really jam-packed application. You can see we have like a lot of stuff happening. We're gonna learn to implement every single feature from scratch. So before we dive in, make sure you like this video, comment how you like this app, what do you want to see in the future, and how your app came along. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel as well. So I'm gonna dropping more tutorials like this to jump into making this app. So let's get started with our project. I have the VS Code open right now, and what I'm gonna do is npx create next app. First thing first, we're gonna install Next.js. I'm gonna name it Magic Social YT. We should look at YouTube. TypeScript. Everything is yes. Customize will be no. Once I'm done installing Next.js, I'm going to go into the route. So I'm in my project folder right now. As you can see, Magic Social YT, and we have all the Next.js project laid out. We have the page layout. Let me run it in the server and see what this looks like. Once I have it ready, you can see I have my starter template running, up and running. The first thing I want to do is in this page, this is where our landing page is going to be. So I don't want to type in and take away a lot of time building a landing page, because we got to build a lot of cool features. So what I'm going to do is go to something called VO from Next.js. Vercel, they built something called VO, and I'm going to create, type them simple, create a simple landing page for startup. Let's say okay. It's going to generate me some landing page that I'm just going to copy paste and be done with that. We're going to come back and fix the landing page at a later time. So it uses Tailwind, which is good. So it's easy copy paste thing to be done with. Features that matters. I like this one. I think this one is nice. So I'm going to copy this from the div over here. And if there, place the main with that, hit the links up. I'm gonna delete all the icon I don't need. Image deleted, icon deleted. So, and the form section, we don't need that. So I'm gonna delete that. See what it's looking like on our. I'm gonna also change the CSS. I don't want the dark colors. That's great. We're gonna come back and finish this up at a later time. Let's just do the logo and authentication. That what is matter on our first page. So on the link side, we're gonna have our logo. So let's see what it's looking like, logo. And on the other nav, we're just gonna have our authentication. So auth right here. So there we go, logo authentication. That what is matter. We're gonna change this up a little bit later. I can change the main font. This is gonna be Ultimate AI content generator, and I can copy paste in some details over here. So yeah, I just changed this too, and I'm gonna keep it this way for now. Then we're gonna come back later and change things up a little bit. But we are gonna be worried about the logo and the auth over here. So let's just start building out our logo, which is gonna be our first component. So I can go into our components and create the logo. So over here we have in the app, in the source, we're gonna create a folder called component. And in there, we're gonna create a component called logo.tsx. In here, we're gonna start building up our logo. So what we're gonna do is RAFC, and in here, we're gonna do the logo, and then we're gonna bring this into our page over here. So we're gonna bring that component right there. So add import. We don't need the link or images. So in the first part, if we go, you see we have some error. Let's deleted the link, of course. So let's keep the link and into the image. Over here, you see we have a logo component generated over here. It's perfect. Let's start building things out over here. We are going to import a couple of things, which is image from next image, and we're also going to import link from next link. And for the logo, I'm going to do is I'm going to go to another tab called logo ipsum, and here they have some really cool SVG logo. So the one I'm going to be end up using is something called this one right here. I click copy, the SVG is copied, and in my public folder, I'm going to create something called logo.svg, paste in everything that I copied from that website. And in the logo, I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in the image, and for the src of the image, I'm going to do is everything would be already located in the public. So I'm going to do is slash logo.svg. Width would be 64. Height would be 64. And then alt would be logo. We have some kind of logo happening. Let's see. There we go. I'm also going to bring in a font, like a fancy font for our logo. So I'm going to do is import Museo Moderno from Google Font. So Next.js ship with that. And then Museo would be equal to Museo Moderno. And then we're going to do its weight to be 700. Keep it a bold weight. The subset would be of Latin right there. So our Museo would be for this. And in order to use this, we are going to be doing something. So H2, let's see magic social of our app name and see what it looks like. That is great. We also need some padding, by the way, on our thing. So I'm going to do is here adding margin top of 5. Let's say have a top margin of 5. Great. And yeah, this is our landing page coming together. And one more thing we need is we need a CN. The CN come from the ShadCN. So if you go to the ShadCN library, we're gonna install that. We can have access to the CN. So right here, I'm gonna create another terminal. Okay, ShadCN latest unit. Okay, yes, our ShadCN will be installed. I'll create default styles, slate, yes. we have to reset it as well because we are changing some stuff on our config. So that's been installed, and you're gonna see some things on the source. There's a something called libs. In the util, you see there's something called CN, which is CLSX from that library. So it's like you can add different classes in Tailwind. So we're gonna be using that in our logos. So right here in the class name of the H2, we're gonna be using CN. The first, and we open up a bracket. The first is gonna be museo class name. Second one would be text of Excel. So this is our CN coming from the CN library that we're adding two stuff into our Tailwind. The first is the class name, which is coming from this, so font, and then we're using a text Excel. Let's see what it's looking like so far. I'm gonna open up or run the dev of our localhost. So it looks like we have some Magic Social in here. Great. Let's update the styling a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap everything in a link. And then I'm going to paste this to inside the link. And in here, with the href, it's going to be our homepage. Class name, we're going to do is flex of column and items. Items will be center. Let's change the way it looks. Yep, there we have that in place. So everything in our logo should be working as we want. And yeah, I'm gonna get rid of this div as well. We don't need that, just a link will do. Every time we click on this, it should get up to the home page. So once I have that in place, I'm gonna start building out the authentication, which is gonna be in the Clerk. So I'm in the cloud dashboard, dashboard.clerk.com. You can open an account and create your application from here. I'm going to be using email and Google. So I'm going to name it Magic Social and then create application. We have Next.js. Make sure I install the Clerk over here. Once I have that installed, and I'm going to do is copy this into my env local, which is going to create an env file over into the root folder called .env.local. I'll paste that in here, and then I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy the middleware and create a file in the source called middleware.ts and copy paste that middleware that they gave us. It should be inside the source directory, so it should be right inside the source, not inside the app or anything. And then we're gonna bring in the Clerk provider on our layout. So this is our parents most file. So in here, I'm gonna use the Clerk provider on the HTML provider, and then put everything in the HTML inside that. That's great. Our Clerk provider is working. Next, we're gonna build is create a component called auth, and in here we're gonna create a new file called auth.tsx. I'll export that component. And in here, we're gonna bring in a couple of things. We're gonna bring in import sign in button from Clerk Next.js. Signed in button. We're gonna do a sign out as well, and a user button as well. And then we're gonna do is inside this, we're gonna do is sign out. If we signed out, what we're gonna do is we're gonna show them a sign in button. Sign in. And if the user is signed in, we're gonna show them a user button. That's the logic behind that. Next, I'm gonna import that into our authentication right here. That is great. Let's go back to our web application. We are done with all the project. Basically, in here they said you do the Clerk provider and all the stuff in one place, but we kind of like separate things out. So now we're good to go. let's go back to our project, refresh it. We see a sign in button. We click on the sign in button. You see it goes to the Google. If I sign in with my Google account, you see it's gonna give me a sign in button, the user button over here. So the auth is giving me this user button right over here, which is this right here. So we are signed in into our application. Our authentication is all set up. Next, we're gonna do start building out what's gonna happen when we sign in, where we're gonna pull them in. So let's do that right now. So in our folder structure in the app, we're gonna create a new folder called dashboard. And inside the dashboard, we're gonna have our page, of course, .tsx dashboard. So we have dashboard right here. And what we are gonna do on our home page is like, this is the home page, ready to go right here. In the home page, we're gonna bring in something from the auth. So we're gonna bring in an auth from at Clerk NEXTJS server, and we're gonna check in if the user is logged in or not. So const user ID, which is coming from the logged in auth. So this is checking on a server component. We're on a server component, so we're using auth. If you are on a client component, you use something called use auth or something else. But this is for the server component, so we're checking in if the user is logged in, which is gonna have a user ID. If we have a user ID, then we're gonna do is user ID is basically coming from the clerk. So every time you dashboard, we have one logged in. If I go to the user, they're gonna have a user ID. So this user ID is there. So the clerk is gonna check if the user ID is present. If it's present, then we're gonna redirect them to the dashboard. So next navigation, I'm gonna do is dashboard. So now let's go back in here. It's been redirecting to me to dashboard. So every time I refresh, redirecting me to the dashboard, we are not seeing the welcome page anymore. We are done with the home page. Now we're going to be building out our dashboard page. So our dashboard page is going to have a couple of things. We're going to have a search bar, which is a search dashboard, and a template list. But on the layout of the dashboard, we're going to create a layout in here, and we're going to have our like a sidebar. So we're going to have a couple of components. So let's start building out the layout so we have an idea of what it's going to look like. Dashboard layout. So we're going to have a sidebar, and then we're going to have all the children on the other side. So it's going to be dividing into sidebar over here, and all the other dashboard layout going to be over here. So we're going to build this up, start building this out slowly, and we're going to start seeing everything in place. So let's start building out the layout first. I'm going to create class name over here. Let me lower it down so we can actually see while it's happening. So we are on the layout, dashboard layout inside the dashboard folder. And in here, we're going to do is BG gray of 50 and age would be screen. And then we're going to have a couple of different children inside. So we're going to have two div, one for the sidebar. The other one is going to be everything else in the template section. So for the sidebar, we're going to have a class name of MD width of 64. It's going to be hidden in the mobile, and in the medium and large onward, it's going to be block, and it's going to have a fixed display. It's going to have a sidebar in here. That is good. Next, we are, let's do sidebar for now. Just type it out. And then we're going to have, for the next div, we're going to have a class name. We're going to have a MD. In the MD, you're going to have a 64 margin left. So once it hits MD, it's going to have a width of 64, and this one have a margin left of 64. So it's going to be a little sidebar audit. So let's see how it looks like. all the children or the dashboard, main dashboard would be here. So let's see what it's looking like. So it's the margin left 64 and have a 64 width. So that sense, we have a BG of way as well, 50, and then H would be fit, and then padding bottom of 5. So we're gonna see why we did this in a little bit. So we have this right here in place. Let's start building out the sidebar. So we have the sidebar in place. We're gonna create in the dashboard, we're gonna create a folder called underscore components. And in here, we're gonna create a file called sidebar.tsx. So I'm gonna create rfc sidebar and bring that sidebar component in our layout right here. There we go. Make sure we import that as well. Import that components. There we go. We have that right there. Let's start building it out. I'm going to close everything up and just open the sidebar. So we concentrate on that only. So for the layout, we're going to have a class name of padding of 5. BG would be white. Height would be around 800 pixel. Flex column. And inside that, we are gonna have a logo of our app as well. So bringing the logo component from our component. We're gonna open up a div, and in the div, we're gonna have something called class of margin top 10. H would be max, flex column, and justify between. And in here, we're gonna have a couple of things. We're gonna have the menu list. So we're gonna have a list of menu that we're gonna list over. And yeah, that's pretty much it. The reason why we have this over here is because we're gonna have our AI chart, the ShadCN chart over here that we're gonna build once we have our AI generated, and it's gonna all like fit in place slowly. So that will make sense once we start doing it. One thing I want to check is for the logo, we have the item center, not item start. So it's gonna be centered in the middle. So that way we have the logo in place. So yeah, we have that. Let's start building out the menu list so we can like see what we can do about that. So for the menu list, we're gonna create a menu list object called menu list. And in here is gonna be an array. Every one of them have a name of called magic tools with an icon. Icons gonna coming from Lucid React, which when you install ShadCN, it automatically installs those items for you. So I'm gonna bring in one sparklers from Lucid React, and then for the path is gonna be hashtag dashboard right here. Next, we're gonna copy it and name it output history. The output history, and icon would be history from Lucid React as well. And it's gonna create dashboard slash folder. Gonna copy this again. Close the bracket. This time it's gonna create upgrade, and then for the icon, it's gonna be credit card, and it's gonna be upgrade. There we go. So we have this 3 menu lists to go through. So in our div over here that we created right after logo, what we're gonna do is we're gonna create menu list dot map menu. We're gonna mapping through that, and then we're gonna do is next link. We're bringing that in, and here we're gonna have menu dot icon, which is a component by itself. This one right here. So we're gonna bring that in, and we're gonna have it's showing us some errors. So href would be let's say href we are gonna do is menu.path for now. Path, that is good. And then we're gonna have a menu icon, and then we're gonna type in some key over here. That's what giving us some error. So we're gonna do is menu.name. So we're get rid of that error. And here the menu icon will have a class name as well. So age of 6, width of 6, and after the menu icon, we're gonna have a h2 with a menu name. So menu.name. We'll have a class name as well of text of large. So there we go. We're gonna start styling this up as well. So the link, we're gonna add the class name, the flex, gap of 2, margin bottom of 2, padding of 3, hover, we're gonna have PG primary, which is the tailwind color of primary, and then we're gonna have hover of text white, and then cursor would be pointer, around it would be LG, and items would be center. So we have that flex typed in. There we go. We have a hover color as well. Next we are gonna do is we're gonna create some of this path. So inside our dashboard, we're gonna create a folder called history. In here, we're gonna create a page.tsx, our app E, history. We are also gonna create a folder called upgrade page as well. So we have these two paths created for our sidebar. And see history upgrade. Now what we're gonna do is whenever we click on this, right now we are gonna run through our regular path pages, but we are not seeing it over here. And we should be seeing it over here. So what we're gonna do is on our layout, we're gonna take in our children, and this children would be in the dashboard right here. So children. So anything we put it in the page would be in here. So that makes sense. We're also gonna fix the type error as well for that. So what we're gonna do is fix the type error. So I'm gonna do is right here, read only, and then we open up these arrows and say children is react.react node. There we have it. The children will be applied here. So if I'm on the magic tool, dashboard, output, history, upgrade page. So what's happening right now is whenever we go to a different page, it takes me to those pages. So if we go to the history page, it takes me to the path. The link have a path over here, and it takes me to dashboard.history. Once we hit that page, it have that dashboard.history over here, and it's being injected to the layout children over here, because this page, everything inside this is wrapped in the layout, so everything is children over here. So that's how we kind of getting it. But we also want to style this. So once we hit the history page, we want this history page to be locked in to be that style. So we know we are in the history page. So how we do that is we use something called path on our pages. So we go back to our sidebar component over here. And in here, we're going to bring in something called const path. And we're going to do is use path from the next navigation to use this path name. But since it's a hook, we have to turn this into a client component. So remember, anytime you use a client component, you need to make sure you use client on the top. So because we are using a hook, this needs to be in a client component. So you put that directive over here to make this into a client component. So once we have the path, let's see console log and what it returned. I'm going to console log in here. Every time we go on a path, you see our path changes. Dashboard.upgrade. We go to history, dashboard.history. Two times, it's happening 2 times because we're on a strict mode by default. So that's why we're constantly logging it twice. But history, you see dashboard, the same thing as right here. So what we're gonna do, if the path matches with the menu.path, if this path matches with the menu.path, then we are in the right route. So we're gonna change the styling of it. So how do we do that is we are opening up turn that into we're bringing in CN as well, so might as well do that. So up here we're gonna cut that, we bring in CN from util, and then we paste that in here. And after that, we are gonna do is if path is equal menu dot path, then we're gonna have bg of primary and text is white. So they should take in effect. So we're on the history page. We go to the magic tool page. It stays the same styling. If we go to upgrade, still the same styling. So that's how we kind of change things up a little bit. So that's about it. That's all our sidebar component. We are all done and good to go. We don't need this import. Get rid of it. So yeah, next we're gonna do is start building this dashboard out and how it's gonna look like. The first thing first, we go to our dashboard over here and we're gonna change things up a little bit. This is our dashboard. So in here, we're gonna have two things. We're gonna have search, and after that, we're gonna have a template list. So we're gonna have these two things in here. So search and template list. If we go here, search will be on the top and template list will be in the bottom. So this is gonna be on the magic tool section. So let's start building that out. Search, we're gonna do is we're gonna build the search dashboard and the template dashboard, and then we're gonna start configuring those features to make it in action to make it work. So first thing first, I'm gonna create a component in here called search dashboard.tsx, and in here we're gonna create our FD search dashboard, and in here we're gonna start making some changes to our styling. So mx would be 5, padding y would be 2, and inside that we're gonna have a div. This time it's gonna have a flex column, and then md. So we want the flex to be row on the md. If it goes bigger screen, it's gonna be row. Gap of 2, margin top of 5, padding y of 6, and then padding x of 4. BG would be white, and it will be rounded. So let's see what it's looking like so far. We're gonna bring that into our dashboard page. I'm gonna close everything up one more time, and we're gonna focus on the dashboard page and the search only. So we have two of those in focus. Not this dashboard, this one right here. So we're gonna bring that up in here. There we go. So let's start seeing some changes in here. So there we have it, our search dashboard over there. So let's continue on styling this. So I'm going to add another div. And here we have a class of flex, gap of 2, items would be center, padding of 2, border, rounded would be full. This is for the input. Width would be full, and then for more medium width, we're gonna have a width of 20%. So there we go. And here we're gonna have inside this, we're gonna have our input. So the input is gonna have a search icon from Lucid React. And let's there we go. And then we're gonna have our input over here. This time it will be text. Placeholder would be search 2 dot over here. And the class name would be BG of transparent. Outline, I don't want an outline. Line would be, so every time we click on it, get an outline, we don't want that. Outline would be none. Text would be black. So there we have the search in place. And we're gonna have some on-change handlers. So whenever we change something, we can filter out the search from our template. So that's good. Next, we're gonna build some category and template, but we're gonna build the categories a little bit later once we have the template in, because we're gonna be filtering through this too. So I want to make sure we have a whole idea of how we are doing that filter changes. So that's good. That's in place. We are good. We're gonna add a auth2 at the end. So inside this, outside this, we're gonna have a div, and it's gonna have the auth. So we can like log in and log out through that. So last name, we wanna have a ML of auto. So there's the auth. We need to fix some of the flex over here. So let's see, get rid of this. There we go. We're gonna fix more styling later on. So right now we have this. So if we sign out, it's gonna take us to the home page. If we sign in, it's gonna take us to our dashboard, which is perfect. One thing I want to change on the sign in is we're gonna add a button over here. So if you go to the ShadCN, we have a button component. I'm gonna install that, so npm, and then install the button right over there. Copy that, paste it, which is all over here, add button. Once we have installed, we can add that to our auth. So let's go to our auth. And in here, we can add the button from the ShadCN, the button UI/button, and open that and say sign in. There we have a button. Let's go back to see what it's looking like. So we have a button of sign in. Click on that, sign in with our email, Google account, and then it take us to the dashboard. Perfect. It's working great. Let's start doing the template, and then we're gonna start finishing up the feature of how we could filtering out the template. So for the template, we're gonna create another component that's gonna be on the forefront of the dashboard page. So we're gonna create a thing called template dash list.psx template list. We're gonna bring that up in right after this. So here we have the template list in place. Let's start building that out a little bit. Last name, it will be grid because we're gonna have a couple of template in here, and then grid column of 1. If you go to the MD of larger size, it's gonna be grid column of 3, and then gap of 4, mx of 5, and m margin top of 5 as well. And inside that, we're gonna loop through our template. Now for the template, we're gonna create something in the lib folder. In the lib, we're gonna have a content template file, content template. And I'm gonna do the first template for you guys, and then we're gonna copy paste and change it as your will. So we're gonna do is export content template. It's gonna be an array. And the first, we're gonna have a couple of things. We're gonna have a name. The first template will have a YouTube video description. We're gonna have a description, DSC. It's gonna have description of what it does. We don't probably might not need it, but you can show it on the UI later. AI tool that generate YouTube video description. That's good. And then we're gonna have a category of YouTube. This is really important because we use this to do some category stuff. Icon will have a FA. We're gonna install an icon library called React Icon. So let's open that up. This is the page. So what we do is we install this in our library. So copy this, package JSON will be installed, and then we can use our live icon from that package. So this is a React icon library. You have a lot of social media icon. So, YouTube icon, we have Instagram icon and everything else. So it's really helpful in that sense. So we're going to install that. Once we're done installing, we're going to bring that up into our icon over here. So what I'm going to do is type in FA YouTube from FA icon. Perfect. And we're going to have also something called AI prompt. So this is the prompt that we're going to give AI to. Once we plug in the Gemini AI from Google, this is the prompt that we're going to inject to the Gemini AI, and it's going to calculate all the stuff. So this, you can go crazy with this. You can be experimental. But for me, I will just write in, give me YouTube description, video description, idea, based ideas, couple of ideas based on given video description, outline, and title, and give me in rich text format. So there we have it. That's the prompt, rich text editor format. Let's do that. So make sure it's in a good text format. So this is the AI prompt that we're going to give that to our Gemini API once we plug that in. And we're going to have a slug too. This is also important as well. The slug is called YouTube description. And then we're going to have some form. The form is going to have an array of 2 different forms. Label would be YouTube video description title. Another one would have field, which we're going to look through that shortly. Field will be input. And then we're going to have a name. Name would be niche. And required would be true. Required would be true. We want to make sure it's required. Then we have another one. This is going to be the text area. So for the label, we're going to have YouTube enter YouTube video description outline. So we have outline. Field would be text area instead of input. And the name would be outline. So AI knows what we are taking in. The input outline, title, and outline. So title right here and outline here. So you can change that to title instead. So required true, and that's it. So we're gonna copy paste this bunch of time to do for our other social media stuff. So I'm not gonna go through making all this content template with you guys. I'm gonna just copy paste this in here with my template. So we have a lot of icons, so which I'm gonna import as well from the FA icon. So here, import all the icons. So we have template for YouTube description, YouTube video idea, Instagram hashtag, TikTok hashtag, LinkedIn post, and also a tweet from Twitter. So you see this one have give me a 280 character of tweet example, because Twitter allow 280 character of tweet on given niche and outline. Niche and outline here. So that's how it is, how we're gonna do all the template. And let's jump into our project and start looping through this and show the template. So I'm gonna close everything out again, and I'm gonna go to the template only. And in here, what we're gonna do, we're gonna bring in the template from our lib that we created. So lib content template. So I'm gonna do import content template from lib/content template. And in here, we're gonna do is in here. So right here, there's content template .map template. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 6 template, 6 looping through. For the div, we're gonna have a key of template .slug, which is unique to the template. So each template gonna have its own slug. So YouTube description, YouTube generate YouTube video idea. This one have generate Instagram hashtag, so those kind of slugs. And then what we're gonna do is inside this, we're gonna create a link that goes to the template, each template, and then we're gonna have so let's do that for now. We're gonna have link. I'm gonna bring that up from the next link there, and in here the link need an href. So for now, let's do this. For now, we're gonna come back and fix that, and inside that we're gonna have the template component, template.icon component, add. There we go, and our h2 template.name. So we have this right here. Let's dial this up a little bit. So for the link, we're gonna add some styling. BG of white, width would be full, rounded would be LG, height would be 200 pixel, padding Y would be 4, padding X would be 4, text would be center, flex column, justify center. So we add that in place. For the template icon, we're gonna do is the component. So height of 12, width of 12, and MX would be auto. There we go. And for the H2, we're gonna do some class as well. Font would be semi-bold. Margin top would be 5. There we have it, template. Every time we click on this, it's going to the main layout. But what we want to do is we're going to have a dynamic route in this template. So every time we hit that, we're going to go to the dynamic template, and that would be determined by the slug. So you have a slug over here. It's going to be determine the pathway through that. So in the dashboard, we're going to create a dynamic route in here called template slug. Template slug. And in here, we're going to create a page.tsx. We're going to have template page. There we go. So let's do that right now. What we're going to do is go to our template list. And in here, we're going to do is template.slug. So every time we go in here, we are actually going to dashboard. We are in the dashboard right now. It's going to be dashboard / let's say YouTube description. It will be like that. So, and if you go to that one, it's going to hit the dynamic route page and it's going to come here. So let's go to this. Refresh the page. So right here, we need to change one more thing. We're going to do is template literals, and here we're going to have dashboard / template slug there. So RD / template slug. When you click on this, you're going to dashboard / template slug, and it's hitting the dynamic route right here because it's inside the dashboard. So that's working as we want. That is great. Perfect. Now we're going to build what we're going to have over here and how we're going to do the AI. But first, before we do anything inside, let's start building out the search and the categories right here. For the search, we don't need the template list component to look into. We just need this and search dashboard. So that's what we're going to be focusing on. So for this, we need some kind of a use state that we can change. So we need to turn this into a client component, use client. And we're going to import use state from React. And we'll create a state over here called search input, set search input, use state, and then that's it. That should be good. It's going to be a string basically. We can also set the type to string as well. So that's what we're going to pass in here. So whenever we type something, we're going to change this so we can filter out the template list if that's the idea behind it. So let's start doing that in the search dashboard first. In the search dashboard, we're going to do is input on change. Whenever we type something, we want to do is on search input. We're going to do is e.target.value, right? And that on search input is going to be a prop for this. So the prop, I'm going to type in some type definition for that. On search input would be a react.dispatch, react arrow, react.set state action. It's going to be a string. There we go. So there we have that dispatch in action. And this is where we're going to pass in on search input is equal to set search input. So whenever we change something, it could be undefined in the first. So we're going to do string or undefined. There we go. So we are putting this up in here. Whenever we search something, we're passing the set search input on the prop. And whenever we change anything in here, it will be changing this over here as well. And then we're going to pass this in here to filter out whatever we typed on the template list, if that makes sense. So let's do console log here. There we go. I'll do inspect console log. We type anything in here. You see we have us taken it out here. That is great. It's working as we want. Then we're gonna do is we're gonna pass in something in here so we know what we are searching in. So we're gonna do is create a prop in here called search input. It's gonna have search input for our definition, and then we're gonna get the props in the template list as well. So here we're gonna do is get the prop search input. Search input would be a string. So now we're gonna look through this. We're gonna do some definition up here to do some search filter. Anytime people search something, we're gonna use effect refresh this to grab whatever we need. So we're gonna create, we're gonna make this a client component as well because we need to use effect and other kind of things in here. So import use effect from React and then use state from React as well. There we have it. So what we do in here, we're gonna create a state called template list. That template list, and then use state. The first thing is gonna be a content template. That's by default is what's gonna be. And when we search something, we're gonna filter through this and then change this to a different one, whatever we filtered. So we can do is, so we're gonna do is create a use effect over here. So every time we have a search input right here, and search input length is greater than 2, we are gonna do some filter. So filtered template, let's say, is equal to content template. We're gonna loop through this original template, and we're gonna do is we're gonna filter that with item dot name. So every content have an item name to lowercase is gonna do is dot includes whatever we search in. Search input dot to lowercase as well. And then what we're gonna do is after we do this, we're gonna do set template list is equal to filtered template right over here. If it doesn't do that, we're gonna do is we're gonna just set template to regular, like original content template. And then we're gonna, whatever we loop through, we're gonna loop through this instead on our main content. So, and then we're gonna loop every time search input is changed, we're gonna invoke the use effect. So let's see the action. So YouTube, we get the YouTube. Instagram, we get the Instagram. LinkedIn, we get the LinkedIn. So see it's working as expected. So I'm gonna do a quick recap what we did. We did a lot of stuff. First thing on the search dashboard, we brought in search set input. So anytime we change the onchange in here, it's gonna change this over here. And we are passing whatever we change into our template list. And in the template list, we are taking it as a prop, and then we're using use effect to, anytime we have any change, we wanna do a refresh a component mount on our like use effect thing. So every time we change the search input, we're gonna do the use effect. So it's been on the condition over here. And if the search input is present, is greater than 2, we're gonna create a filter template which loop through the template over here and filter out whatever we include. If we include a search input, we're gonna filter that out. If the name have a search input in the name of the content, so right here, then we're gonna filter that out and only grab that. And then we're gonna change the template list to that filtered list. So there we're looping to that filtered list when anything change in here. Right here, YouTube. So there we go. If it's not, then we're just gonna do our regular template change. So if nothing is in here, we're just gonna keep the original list. So original list right here. That is great job on that. We made some changes to that perfectly. Next, we're going to do some categories. So we have all the category. We'll click and also filter the category as well. So we're going to start implementing that. So before we do that, I think we have our error here. So let's just get rid of that input as string. It's going to be string always. So get rid of the TypeScript error. Next, for the category, we're going to create some new component called categories. CSX. Categories. For the categories, we need some category prop interface. So I'm going to do export interface. I'm exporting that because we might need it in other places. So category prop is equal to name of string, and a value would be of string as well. So this one will take in some item, and the item will have the category props in an array. So once we get that item over here, we're gonna loop through that, take in the category items. So I'm gonna show that in a little bit what's going to happen over here. Let me bring this up into our search dashboard so we can see what exactly happening. Right here, categories, component, categories. There we go. And here we're gonna pass in an item prop, and the item would be categories item. So we are having two same thing because we're gonna use that to differentiate some things for us, which we're gonna initiate later. So name would be name, and the value would have a value that we want. So we can filter things out with that. So this category will be passed in to our item over here. So item over here, items over here, and I will have categories over there. So category is basically an array of object with name all, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Twit with a value as well. So make that and pass that into our items. And in here we're gonna get the item over here. So this is exactly how it says it is. There we go. And then we're gonna loop through all the items that we got in here. So items dot map category, and then we're gonna have is some div of, let's say, category dot name. So we should see something in action right over here. Let's make sure we have some styling in place. So for this, we're gonna do this class name of flex gap of 2. Flex would be wrap, so it's wrapped in our parents component. So there we have it. We're gonna change things up a little bit later. So for the categories title over here, we are actually create a new component called category item. So in here, I'm gonna do is category item.tsx. And in here, we're gonna start building up our item category item. We're gonna bring this up in here instead. It's gonna take in some props as well. So we're gonna build that up. So it's gonna take in a couple of props, and let's build this component up to see what it's gonna do. So right here, category item, I'm taking 2 prop, name and value. And it's gonna be category prop that we just initiated on the other project right here. So there we have it. And then we're gonna do is we're gonna have a button in this instead. So button, and then we're gonna have a class name inside. We're gonna have a class name of CN. We're gonna bring in the CN over here, CN from the lib, and then we're gonna have class name of padding y of 2, padding x of 4, xpsm. Then we're gonna have a border of rounded full, flex items center, and cursor with pointer. There we have it. And for the text inside it, it's gonna be name right there. So there we have the button in here. I'm gonna pass in those right over here. So what we're gonna do is key of category dot name. Name would be category of name. Value would be category dot value. There we go. Let's see if it's all working right now. We need to change up the styling, so I'm gonna do that right now. So go to the delete everything in here, search board, and so we wanna get this category out of this right here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna change whenever we click this, we're gonna go to a different route, right? We're gonna go to a different routing over here. So we're gonna push that when we click on this item, then we're gonna put that in on button on click. So on click, we're gonna name this handle on click. This handle on click will do a couple of different things. So what we're gonna do is const handle on click, and it's gonna take in some stuff. So this is gonna be a client component too. So client component. So every time we're gonna do is path name is equal to use path name from next navigation. And then we're also gonna bring in router is equal to use router from next navigation as well. And then what we're gonna do is const URL is equal to QS, which we're gonna install. So this is a library that helped us kind of like query our strings. So npm install query string, and then we're gonna import QS as well. So import QS from query string, and we're gonna do is URL. We're gonna find that URL to qs.stringify URL, which is gonna stringify the URL for us, and then we're gonna do this URL is equal to path name, whatever path we are in. Query would be category, and we're gonna do is if selected. If you're selected, then we are pushing to that category URL. So the way to find if you're in the right category is like we're gonna have a search term. So it's gonna be localhost /dashboard/search, and we're going to do is const search params needs to go to use search params, which is coming from our next navigation as well. This is coming from right here. Perfect. And then we're going to do is const current category. I'm going to recap one more time, by the way. I think this is like get a little confusing to do all that because there's so many things happening. Category. And if you're in the same category, is selected would be if current category matches the value that we have on the props. So if it matches the value, then that means we are in the exact category we are in. So we're going to do is selected would be null. We don't need to do anything. Other than that, the category would be value. So this is going to create a string called something like local host 3000 dashboard slash is going to do something kind of a category is equal to a value, right? Value could be YouTube, which is coming from right here. So if the search params of category matches the YouTube of the value, then we're gonna do is this is the selected one. So we're gonna create, oh, this is the right path we're in, exact path. So if that's the case, we're gonna have the URL all ready, and we're gonna do one more thing in here is gonna do skip null would be true, skipping the null, and we're also gonna have skip empty string of true. And then once we're done with that, we're gonna do is router.push URL. So there we have it. So let's try clicking one of these, see what happens. So click on tweet right here, and I go to the URL. This is the URL that I have. So it's like localhost 3000/dashboard category is equal to tweet. So when I click on this, what's happening is pushing a router.url, and then the URL is generated from the is selected. If this is selected, then we will have null change to null. So if I select this again on the tweet URL, but if I click it again, it's deleted all those stuff. So we are not putting that value in here. So the thing is, if you're clicking on this, the URL will change to category equal to whatever the value is. The value is coming from right here. If it's Instagram, it's going to be the value. If you click it again, it's going to delete the value. So we're going to go to the regular filtered version of it. So we're going to use that URL, so whatever we type in URL, to filter out our input template list data. So when we click on this, it's filtering out all the data using the URL over here. So once we have that down, we are pretty much in a good place to work with that because we are pushing the URL, it's working. If we click it one more time, it's selecting null, it's going back to the regular template. This is perfect. So now we have to do is we have to go to the template list to use this to make it work. So let's go to the template list again. And in here, we're going to grab a couple of things. So we need to grab some params from the search. So what we're going to do is, this is already a client component. So it's great. So we're going to do is const search params is equal to use search params. We're bringing that from the next navigation. Now I'm going to do is const search category is equal to search params get category. Now I'm going to console log this to show you what's happening. So what I'm going to do is open up the console log terminal, delete all that, make it a little bigger. So when I click on Instagram, search params in template list is Instagram. When we click on YouTube, search param in template list is YouTube. So we're going to use that to filter out the data. And we're going to do is we have our use effect over here, which is this is going to be use effect for search input. Now we're going to create another use effect to search, to loop through our search category. So anytime we click it, we want a refresh on the use effect to grab only the thing that we click. So grab the use effect over here one more time and do is if we have a search category is equal to all, so we're going to filter that out first so we can go through the other iteration. What we're going to do is set template list is equal to content template list. So if we are at all, you're just going to give them the whole data. If we are not, else if our search category, then what we're going to do is const filtered template list, and one more time, filter template is equal to content template dot filter. We're going to filter it again with item dot category. So we're going to category template. So we're finding the category. If it's YouTube, then our search params will match. Our search category will match. So every time we click on this, our search category will have. So we're gonna find that from our search params, and we're gonna get that the category. So we're gonna get that in the name. So anytime item.category is equal to search category that we got from the browser, search params, we are gonna do filter list as our set template. So we're gonna do is set template list is filtered template. Else we're gonna do is just a regular stuff. The whole ideas. And then we're gonna make sure we use search category as our condition over here. So we will look out for the changes. So tweet is click. If you unclick it, click it one more time, unclick it. Unclick makes it null, remember? Over here it makes it null. So click on TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. Click the YouTube again, it goes back. Click the tweet, we click all, it goes back to the all. So it's working perfectly. We have our most of the stuff in here implemented. Next we're going to do is what's going to happen when we go into each of these template and how we're going to incorporate the AI into our component and the project. And then we're going to bring in Stripe to paywall our stuff a little bit. So let's jump into those features. So everything we need to do in this component is going to be in a dynamic route over here. So let's open that up and start building our small component over here. It's going to be actually a big one. So we're going to have the editor, we're going to have the form, we're going to have the AI implemented as well. So a lot of stuff is going to happen. So let's start styling this out. Notice the class name of mx of 5, py of 2. And inside that, we're going to have another div. This one, going to have a class name of margin top of 5 again, py of 6, px of 4. Very similar to the search dashboard. This is going to have some template name. So there we go. And we're actually going to find the template from our content template using the params. So it's going to show you in a little bit. Let's start styling this out a little bit more. So we have this. This is actually going to have a h2 inside. So what I'm going to do is right here, choose a background of white and round it. I'm going to have h2 with the template name, the class name of font of medium. So we have that. Now let's grab the templates from here. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab the params. So params coming from the slug over here. So we already are on so right here we are on the YouTube description template, which is coming from the slug over here, which we kind of like pulled it we pushed it when we went to this template over here. So template list, we have a link and it's going to the template slug. So we're grabbing that. That has been in the dynamic route. So that should be in here and the params. So we're gonna grab that. Let's do the stop type over here. So use params. Params is equal to template. Slug prop. I'll do a little interface just for the TypeScript. Template slug of string. There we have it. That in there. That'll be in there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use that to filter out the data. So select that template. Select that template is equal to content template. We're going to bring that up from the lib.find. We're going to find the item. The item.slug is equal to params doc template slug due to our dynamic name template slug over here. So that is been matched up. So let's console log this, see what we are getting. So this is our server component. We would be getting that on the server. So right over here, you can see we have the template, selected template, and we're getting the YouTube video description template. Perfect. So we're getting all the information that we need for the YouTube template that we are on. So we're going to start building that up slowly over here. So we got the template. Perfect. Let's start changing things up on our div. So selected template name would be selected template dot name. There we go. We got the customized selected template. If we go to LinkedIn post name, tweet right there. So that's working. We're grabbing exactly what we need. Next, right after this, we're gonna open up a form. And in here, we're gonna do is have a div, and this is gonna be a class name, spelling out. Select column, gap of 4, margin heading of 5, margin top of 5 as well, and DG is white. And then we're gonna do is selected template dot form. Our selected template, remember we have a form. We're gonna loop through this and inject that to our form element. Form. Then we're gonna do is map through the form. We're gonna do is div. Our key would be selected template dot slug. Label would be form label. Form dot label. And then we're gonna have field. Now we know we have like in the form we have field in here, and then we want to do some conditional. So we have like 2 different types of field. One is input, one is text area. So we're gonna make sure we change that. We kind of like look out for that. So what we're gonna do is form dot field if is equal to input, then we are gonna do is div of input. This is coming from our ShadCN. So I'm gonna do is install that. We're gonna use ShadCN input for this one. So there we go. Bring that up into our right here, and then close that out. Add input. The name is gonna be title right there. And if it's not an input, we know it's gonna be a text area. So we're gonna bring that from ShadCN as well. So grab that. So let's put that text area right in here. Let's see what it's looking like over here right now. We have this two text area. Perfect. Let's start styling this out a little bit more so we have more details to work with. So I'm going to do this margin top. What I'm going to do is margin top of 5. Same styling for the other one too. There we go. And for this, we're going to have name is description. And then we're going to have a generate buttons right underneath that. So right underneath this, right before we close out the form, we're going to bring the button from the ShadCN as well. So bring that in from the ShadCN. We installed that before when we did the sign in. So margin top of 5, and then type would be a submit type. Submitting the form when we do this. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a loading state here, because we will do some AI handling over here. So what we do is const is loading, set is loading is equal to use state false. We're gonna use state from React, and we turn this into our client component. There we have it. And then we're going to do is, if this is loading, then we're going to show them a loader icon, loader from Lucid React. And if it's not, then we're going to do is, let's say, it's not, we're going to do is generate content. Our loaders gonna have animation as well. So tailwind have like an animate spin. We're gonna do that. There we go. That's a loading state. We're gonna see that in action when we do our API fetch in there. So now I'm gonna do is we have everything going on pretty good. We're gonna do is outside of the form, we're gonna have another div, and this is where the editor is gonna live. So the AI editor, once we generate content, we're gonna dump all the value into the editor. So the editor component is gonna live inside the template slug. So we're gonna create another folder called underscore component. And here we're gonna do is editor.tsx. Now for this, we are gonna be using something called React Cool. So that's like a really famous library. Cool. You can see right here. This is the library React Cool. Like a really famous editor based on another famous JavaScript editor called Cool, kind of like Cool editor. So a Cool for React Cool. So you can see this is a popular editor, and they made a React version of it. So we're going to use that. So I'm going to do is npm install React Cool, and I'm going to start building out the editor components over here. So we're going to need a couple of things. First, we're going to turn this into a client. And then we're going to do is import dynamic from Next dynamic. And then we're going to do is install use memo from React and import React -cool /this. This is a style of it. So we're going to use the cool snow.css styling. Then we're going to do is this is going to take in the value. So I'm going to do is right here, value is string. And then what we're going to do is we're going to bring the React Cool in here. So const React Cool is equal to use memo. We're going to use the dynamic version to keep it on the UI. And then the import React Cool. And then we're going to have an SSR is equal to false. So there we have it. There we go. And then we are going to do at the end just one time conditional. And then we're going to return that in here. React cool. We're going to do this. And we're going to bring this into our page right here. I'm going to dump that in here. In the values. So I'm going to do a dummy value of value. Got this. And then inside this, let's start changing things up a little bit. SSR right there. There we go. Now we're gonna start styling it a little bit. So I'm gonna do this class name of H 250 pixel, padding bottom of 10, BG of white, and white speed wrap. So it helps us do some kind of adding over here. Then the value would be value, whatever value we pass in on the props. So you can see we're gonna put the AI value in here when we do the generation. And the theme would be snow. Snow theme. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So we got the editor in place. Let's jump into our main page and start styling a little bit. So we're gonna do a class name over here. Margin top of 10, margin bottom of 10. We can do margin Y of 10 to be honest. So there we go. We have that in place, which is going good. We can also do one thing is we can have like a handler as well, like a loading state in here. So the value we can do is loading, generating, else value, else the AI output. There we go. We have generating. So yeah, we're gonna fix that interaction. So now everything is in place. We should be good to go and start adding AI to our project. So head over to the Gemini. So once you go to the ai.google.dev, you're gonna go to the homepage right here. Then we go to Gemini API over here. Get API key in Google AI Studio. And here you can create a new key up here, or create API key, and it's gonna go through you all the API key that you can do. Search project, you can have like project already created. So I created the API key using the generative language client, and it's kind of like a free of charge right now. So I'm gonna use this API key use on my project. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna come back to the env local, and you're gonna dump in the API key in here. So I have right here. And once you dump it in, let's start creating the Gemini content. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go to the documentation. Read API docs, and then quick start over here. Node.js. Get the API key. Once you get that, you put that into the process.env, and then you're gonna do is install this over here, install the SDK. So I'm gonna go ahead and install this right now at Google/generative AI. And then we're gonna do something on node initialization like this. So in my lib, I'm gonna create Gemini AI.ts. Once we install that package, we're gonna do is import Google generative AI at Google/generative AI. And here we're going to do is const API key is equal to process dot env dot whatever we typed in over here. Gemini API key, cheaper version of the model. So Gen AI, they have a couple of different models. If cheaper model, so generative AI model, and then what we're gonna do is bracket, and then model name would be Gemini 1.5 slash, that's the model number, model name. Then const generation config is equal to temperature. I'm going to paste in some configuration for the generation. And you can go to this doc to kind of like play around with your AI configuration if you want more stuff. But we're going to do is export const chat session is equal to model dot start chat generation config, and history would be an empty right there. So we're exporting the chat session using the model of start chat. We're passing in the configuration as well. And there we go. Chat session. We're gonna bring that into our template. So let's go to the dynamic template over here. Let's see where we have that. So right here, we have the dynamic template. So once we get that value, we're gonna pass that into our like a generative AI content function. So right here on action, it's gonna be an action on submit, and then on submit, it's gonna have on submit is equal to async form data equal to form data, and then here we're gonna do is generate AI content. I'm gonna create a function for that, and we're passing the form data. So all the form data would be in this form data.get title, get description. We're gonna grab that in here. So we're gonna get that function from here, and then we're gonna build a function over here to const generate AI content is equal to async right there, like that. And then we're gonna have form data as well. That's the same thing we're passing in. So in here, we're gonna do a couple of things. We're gonna start our loading state to true. So the AI is gonna start working right now. And then we're gonna grab that into a try catch. So in the try, we're gonna do is let data set is equal to title. The title is coming from the form. So the title would be form data dot get title. And then we're gonna have a comma over here. And then we're gonna have a description. Description will be form data dot get coming from the description. So that's coming from right here. Title and description. Once we get that in hand, we're gonna do is const selected prompt is equal to selected. We're gonna get the AI prompt selected template AI prompt. So remember we had a customized prompt in over here, AI prompt. So we're grabbing that in there and putting in the selected prompt. So I'm gonna just selected prompt and do const final AI prompt is equal to JSON dot stringify dataset, and then we're gonna add that into our plus comma that, and then we're gonna do plus selected prompt. So this is our final AI prompt that we're gonna send. So dataset is like the data, title, and description, and then the prompt. So we have that all in one go. So this is what we're gonna send that to the AI. So we're gonna do is const result is equal to, oh wait, remember chat session that we exported from the Gemini? I'm gonna delete all that, to be honest. It's getting too crowded over here. So chat session. Yeah. So remember we exported the chat session. So inside, we're going to bring that up in here in the chat session from Gemini AI. And then we're going to do send message final prompt. Send that. We got the result. And once we get the result, we're going to inject the result into a state. So in here, we're going to create a state called const AI output set AI output is equal to use state. This is going to be a empty start, so it's a string. There we go. So once we get the result back, we're going to inject the result into that output. Set AI output is equal to result. Perfect. But we're going to destructure that a little bit. So result dot response dot text. So there we go. And what we are going to do is set loading to false right now. Set loading. It is loading false. And if you get an error, just console log that error. So we do that, and then for the value, we're gonna do is we're gonna grab that AI output value that we got from the set result over here. We're gonna grab that into our value. Let's see how it's working on our end over here. So let's say title would be how to run a marathon. Give me YouTube video description on how to run a marathon. Generate content, loading state. Once we get back certain state, we should have that generated in here. So there we go. We have that generated. If you get stuck, by the way, make sure you check the process.env if you're putting it properly. I kind of copy pasted my whole thing. I'm going to change that to process.env, but this could be the problem that API key was not reading properly. So we got our something back, right? We got a cool generation back. Let's turn that into something else. How to get fit. The description on how to get fit. So generate content, loading state enabled, API key all locked in, and Gemini API is giving us some value back. Perfect. We are actually generating some stuff from our API, Gemini API, which is really cool on how things are working right now. Next, we're gonna start building out how much stuff we're actually doing. We're doing the output history. We're gonna build that out. So our next part would be whatever we generate is to push that into our database. We're gonna create a database next. Then we're gonna move on to doing some Stripe handling. So okay, so far we have a lot of things going for us, and now we're gonna start doing is connecting our database to our application. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna install Prisma client, and then we're gonna connect that to our Neon database that we have over here. So I'm just gonna log in, and I'm gonna install the Prisma client. So npm install Prisma. Once you have that installed, you're gonna initiate the Prisma client. You do npx Prisma init. So this is gonna initiate Prisma client, and you're gonna see a folder created called Prisma, and you have the schema. By default, the ship with Postgres, so that is pretty good. And in the env, you have the database URL that Prisma kind of like takes in. So now we are good to create our database. So you're gonna do is go to the neon.tech, and here I have a project, and I'm gonna create a new project called Magic Social. I'll name the database Magic Social as well. Connecting to the closest database near me and create the project. Now you see you have a database launch over here, and then go to the Prisma over here, and you see you have the Prisma schema model, which is already created for you in the Prisma file right here when you do the initiate. And then all you have to do is go to the env and copy this instead. So I'm gonna go to the env and paste that whatever we copied. There we go, and we are good to go. Our database should be connected and ready to go. The next part is creating our data. So I'm going to create our data model over here. We're going to create a bunch of things that we need for our purposes. So the first thing we need is the model, and here we will model is our AI output. So whenever we're doing an output on our AI database right over here, I'm going to clean this up a little bit so we don't have too much stuff going on. So yeah, whenever we have a database up like generated over here, we need a database model for the AI output that we generated. So that's, we can, pull it up in here and show to the user in a UI format our database that we generated. So the first model is the AI output model, which is going to be generated data model. It's going to have an ID of string, add ID, default with a UID. Next, we have a user ID, the string, and then title of string, question mark is optional, description need to be there. We need that. And template, the template that we use. So we can show the user what template you use. Template used. And then we're going to have created at. She's going to be a datetime of default of now. So these are the data model for the AI output. So that's all we need for that. We're going to then come back to this folder or file one more time to do our Stripe model. So when we integrate Stripe, we need some kind of a data model to check the user credit, the purchases and stuff like that. But for now, we're good. We're good to go. So what I'm going to do is npx Prisma generate. It's going to generate a Prisma client that we can use. And then on the lib, we're going to create a file called db.ts. And in here, we're going to copy this first client generation over here. And then we're going to export that as well and change the name to db. So we have Prisma client in here. What this does is it helps us talk our interface to a database. So we can connect both together and inject and do any kind of data operation through Prisma client. That's good. We have that in place. Next we do is whenever we do generate, we want to create the data. We want to bring the client in and create the data. So let's go through our generate where we have the dynamic API dynamic route, and in here we have the on-click submit action, and in the action this is where we're gonna inject the data. So yeah, we're gonna do that. When we click on this, it's gonna generate our content, and we're gonna call an API call to put this into our database. So since we have a client component, we shouldn't be using action on this. So how we're gonna do that is we're gonna create an API route. So in the app, we're gonna create a folder called API. And in here, we are gonna do is we're gonna create a post action that we can use to implement that data into our database. So in here, API, we're gonna create a file called route.ts. And in here, we're gonna do is export async function post. So we're gonna do a post request. And here we're gonna do is request. Perfect. And then we're gonna do like a try catch component right here. The try catch handling. First, we're gonna check if the user is logged in. So if the user's ID is there, we should come from the auth. So that's server. If the user ID is there, then we should start doing everything else. If for some reason the user ID is not there, we're gonna do is return an error or response. So new next response. It will be user not authenticated with a status of 401. And then if the user is there, then we should grab some stuff. So we're gonna do is title. We're gonna grab title, description, and then template used from await request.json. So we're gonna grab that from our API call that we're gonna do. in a little bit. And then what we're going to do is const create new doc, create new output. Create new output is equal to await db dot out AI output dot create. We're going to see how we did it in the model, so we have an idea. So in the model, we have AI output. So it should be lowercase. One thing we're going to do is we're going to npx prisma db push. So our database is pushed, our model is pushed in our database. So if you go back to our neon, go to the table, refresh that, you see we have our AI output data over here. So DB, we're going to bring that up in here as well. And for the creation of the data, we're going to do is data. We're going to have a user ID is equal to user ID, title is equal to title, description is equal to description, and template use is equal to template use as well. And then once we do that, we're going to do like a revalidate path. So I'm going to do is revalidate path right here. And then we're going to bring the revalidate. And then we're going to do is return next response. We need the data. So we're going to return that to our create new output with the status of 200. So that's great. If we don't, if everything goes bad, we're going to do a response to an error. The response would be, this is from the post AI generate. We have new doc, new output generation error. And then we're going to do status of 500. This is a server error. That's all good. We're going to use add the library npm install Axios for our project to kind of like do this request. So on our front end, we're going to do that request over here. So we're going to bring in the Axios. So const response is equal to, it's going to be later. So it's going to be right after we set the AI. Response is to await Axios dot post. So we're going to do a post request into our API route. So we're going to, the API route is hitting this, and we're doing a post request here. And we're going to send in some data so we can like capture it in the body. So we're going to send in this data. So our data is going to be title, which is coming from the data set that we defined over here. So title dataset title. And then description would be result.response.text. So whatever we had over here, it's going to be description from the AI. And template use would be from the you selected template. So template use is going to be from the selected template. So this is where we get all the information. So selected template is equal to template that we're getting from right here. So we're filtering out the template, we're finding the template, and then this is all the template. So we're going to do is template use selected template dot name. That's perfect. And make sure you import the Axios as well. So this is good. So all happening over here is we are going to the data API route. We're giving them all the data in the API route in the body. And then it's taking all the information and creating an database model for us in our Postgres. So let's see how it's working so far. So before we check that, I'm going to stop the server. And I'm also going to make sure there's a typo here. We want to make sure we put this inside this. Otherwise, it won't do any handling. So make sure it's returned in the catch. And I'm going to fix the error here as well. So npm run dev. Fix that little typo. It should be good. Now I'm going to do is over here. I'm going to refresh the page. Once I'm double checking one more time, we have this function post request over here. We're returning a response over here, status of 401, and then we're returning another one over here, and also after the catch. So I'm gonna restart the server and run it back again. npm run dev. So we should have it compiled in here. Here we go, and I'm just gonna write it again. How to run a marathon. Give quick description, YouTube description on how to run a marathon. So generate, the AI is gonna work. Gonna go through the function, create the post request. Post request is gonna create a data. Post API 200 is complete. Now I can go back to the Neon, to our Postgres database, and see we have a database right here. The next part we're gonna do is we're gonna create this, show the database on our UI. So let's jump into that and start creating it. First, I'm gonna go back to our upgrade, our history, and then I'm gonna start creating, dialing it out. So mx would be 5, py would be 2. Inside that, we're gonna have a div of class name of mt of 5, py of 6, and then px of 4, pg of white and rounded. Next we're gonna do is h2 of output history. And we're gonna do some class name in here. Font medium. There we go. Next we're gonna do is start building out our UI over here. We're gonna bring in the ShadCN table content. So I'm gonna go to the table. I'll install that into our project. And we're gonna do is we go to the code. You see they have a lot of stuff. I'm gonna include this, but we're not gonna use all of them. So we're gonna clean it out a little bit. So yes, to installation. I'll input that in here to the React. And then what we're gonna do is in the div, we're gonna open up a table. There we go. The table. And then we're gonna do is table caption. Also want to make sure we are seeing that happening on the UI. Table caption would be a list of your AI output history. There we have it, table caption. Next, after the table caption, we do table header. And we are opening up table row with our table head. The template. I'm going to use title over here. Then we're going to use description. We're going to do is created at the last one. And for this title, we want a little bit of a headspace. Width would be 250 pixel, and this one would be text right, so it's all the way on the right. We see we have this laid out. That's great. We also need some styling for it, so margin the top of 5, py of 6, px of 4, pg is white, rounded. Styling there. And then we're gonna do is on the header. After the header, we're gonna open up a table body. And in here, we're gonna do is we're gonna go through our user history that we just take in from our users. So since this is a server component, we can actually grab that using an async function over here. What we're going to do is we're going to get the user ID from the auth. There we go. And then we're going to do const user history equal to await db. We're going to bring back .ai output .find many. And then we're going to do is where our user ID is equal to user ID. I'm just going to be throwing some TypeScript errors. So I'm going to use a string over here. Then we're going to get the user history in here, and then we're just going to loop through that over here to get the user history data. So user history going to look like this. User history, if it's present and user history dot length is greater than 0, then we're gonna do some data handling. So then we're gonna do this user history dot map history there. We're gonna open up a table row again. This time we're gonna do table cell. The first cell is gonna be history dot template used. Second cell would be title. Giving some error right here. We're gonna fix that in a little bit, because yeah, we didn't close that out. Close that out. We need to provide a key. So you can see this is how it's looking like so far. I'm gonna get a key in here. History of ID. So we have some unique ID so we can use. Next, we're gonna do 2 more cells. The second one would be description. And the last one will be created. The third one will be description. Fourth one will be created at. Should be good. We need to format the date. So we're getting the date in the database format. So let's format that out. We're gonna install a library called datefns. So npm install datefns. That's it. Save dev. We got the datefns installed. So we're gonna bring back some function from there called format from datefns. It's a really popular library for formatting dates. So we're using that. And here we're gonna do is get that format. I think I did that right. Here, format. So it's gonna be history dot created at, and then how we're gonna format it? We're gonna format it is month, date, year. So let's go and see how it's looking like. There we go, month, date, and a year. So format it. Now this look really weird, so we're gonna use Tailwind class to kind of like make it much better. So let's do that in here. So Tailwind offers a really useful class called whitespace free wrap. It just nicely format the whole thing. Really nice. We're gonna do some more. We're gonna add some class name. I think we're good in here. Yeah, we're gonna do a text write on this. So class name of text write, just as we did over here, and the class name of this on the title as well. So similar kind of getting used to, similar kind of styling there. So there we go. We have that. If it's not present, we're gonna just do null. So that's it. So that's our UI for history. So whenever we generate some new stuff, it will show up over here. So let's generate another description. Let's generate a tweet this time. Workout, what do you call it? Motivation. Give me a tweet about workout motivation. The content, generate content. Here we go. It gives you a nice tweet. 280 word. Exactly. You can just copy paste and tweet that. Feeling I'm going to work out. Remember why I started. Think about goals. So that's really cool. Let's crush it. Some hashtag. Go to the output history, and you see we have that generated. Perfect. Exactly as we want. We got the title. We got the what template we use. So everything is working exactly as we want. So we are making some progress in here. That's good. Next, I want to do is we have a couple more things left. We have the upgrade Stripe integration, and we have the ShadCN Charts that is left. So we're going to do that in the next part. So let's jump right into it. Let's create this UI, and then we're going to integrate Stripe to our project. Go to the upgrade, and then I'm going to go to the upgrade page as well. In here, we're going to do is class name, similar class name we did before, UI of 2. And then div class name empty of 5, UI of 6, tx of 4, bg of white, and rounded as well. So we have the upgrade thing over here. And here we're going to do is h2 with h2 with the upgrade credit. This one gonna have a class of font medium. Great. And we have div class name of top of 5, py of 6, tx of 4, rounded. And then we're gonna bring in some ShadCN component as well. So we're gonna do is bring in the card over here. Install that. So once we have that installed, I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy this UI. We might not need all of this, so copy paste that in there, and then we're gonna do is copy the card in here, and right inside of this, we're gonna copy paste it. We are not gonna need any of this, so I'm just gonna have no form needed. So get rid of the form, get rid of the button. We don't need the footer at all, so should be good. We're gonna do is in the content, the title we're gonna do is $10 one time purchase, and then we're gonna do is in the description is 10,000 AI credit. And for the content, we're gonna do is div paragraph of, let's say we're gonna do a check logo, and in the logo, after the logo, we're gonna do 100 words per purchase, and then we're gonna do a couple more paragraph like that. This one I'm gonna say all template access. You can like firewall that if you want, but I'm not gonna make all this features available. But that's a good idea of some option that you can do. In here, we're gonna do is looking good. We're gonna do this here. Last name of flex, my2, cap of 2. Okay, we're gonna copy paste that classes as well. There we go. That's looking great. And then after the div, we're gonna have a button. We're gonna bring that up from the ShadCN as well. We're gonna purchase And then we'll do is class name. Make sure we bring that up, import that from the ShadCN. Class name would be margin top of 5. On click, we're going to do some handling of that. But this is what it's going to look like. I am going to kind of make that into centered. So for the card, add that. We're going to do flex off column. MX would be auto. There we go. It should be in the center. So once we click on this, it's going to take us to the purchase area. And then for that, we're going to create a checkout response as well. So let's do that. Let's start creating the small stuff out, and then we're going to go to the Stripe, get the API, kind of like connect everything together. So on the button on click, we're going to do is create a function called on handle on click. We'll create a function over here on the top, right here. We're going to call font handle on click is equal to an async function. So I think we're going to do like a route. So const response equal to await Axios. Bring the Axios dot post. This is going to be API upgrade, which we're going to create shortly. Dash checkout right there, and then that's it. And then we're going to do a router dot push right after this. So const router is equal to use router. Next navigation actually is coming from next navigation, not the router. So this is gonna turn into a client component since we're using some hooks. And we're gonna use that right after this. So we're gonna get a response of the URL back from the Stripe, and then we're gonna push that. So once we click on this, it's gonna request this, and in this route, API route, we're gonna handle the Stripe. The Stripe's gonna give us a response back with the URL, and then we're gonna push the user to that. So that's gonna happen right here. Push user to the Stripe URL. So we're gonna start doing that using the Stripe. So let's go to our Stripe dashboard. I'm gonna create a new account called Magic Social, and in here we're gonna do developer. API key, copy the API key in the env. So you're gonna do is you're gonna have env right here. You're gonna do Stripe secret key. You're gonna copy paste whatever that is in here. And then we're gonna do, and we need to add one, but we're gonna get that a little bit later, which is the hook, which is very useful as well. So that's, we're gonna get it a little bit shortly. So we have that, we created the API key and everything. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna start building out the checkout right here. We're gonna create the folder. So let's go back to close everything out. Save it, and then I'm gonna go here one more time. So we are hitting API upgrade checkout. So create the route API upgrade, and then create a folder called checkout, and in there we're gonna create a file called route.ts. So let's get started with the Stripe. We're gonna be installing npm install as Stripe, and then in here we're gonna bring in. So we're gonna do is import Stripe from Stripe. So you also need to import the db lib/db. That is great. And we're gonna create the post function. So every time we click on the handle button, we're gonna create this request. So we're gonna make this stand out right now. So export async function. This post request will be request try would be this. And then we're going to do is bring in our current user or user in, let's do this, const user ID, go to auth, there we go, try and catch here. And here we're going to do is if no user is found, we can't do anything. So we're going to do is no user found, we're going to return an error. Next response, unauthorized, status of 401. And then we're going to do if the user is found, we're going to do some Stripe creation of a product. So we're going to do this line items, go to stripe.checkout session, create params dot line item array is equal to open up an array with an object quantity of one product, is one purchase, price underscore data would be your data, so currency would be USD, product data would be some data. So here we can customize our what's gonna show in the URL. So we can do is right over here, when we click on this, it's gonna show something on the left hand side, some title. So we can name it 10,000 AI credit, and description would be all $10 worth of credit, and the unit would be right offside. Unit amount would be 100, which is unit amount would be 1,000, which is basically a decimal over here, so it's like $10. So that's good. Now we want to do is we want to create that record. So whenever user do some purchase, we want to make sure we are putting it in a database. So we want to sure we have a purchase database that the user has been created for a user. Since we're going to create a Stripe customer right here as well. So we are going to play around with the data. So I'm going to go to the Prisma and add a couple more models. First one would be purchase. The purchase would have ID of string, add ID at default, UUID. User ID would be string. So this is the user ID that is logged in. Credit would be a float, so number. Created at date time of now. So every time a user purchases something, if you want to create a data of purchase, that's going to have a credit of $10. So it's going to have a default credit of $10 every time the user purchases something. So we're going to do that. Then we're going to do is model a Stripe customer as well. So Stripe customer. So this is going to be unique. So there's going to be only one user will have one Stripe customer. So add ID, add default UID. And then user ID would be same as the user authenticated. So we want to make sure this is unique. And we also want to make sure Stripe customer ID is present. So we know which, we can find on Stripe with the ID of the Stripe customer ID, which will inject from Stripe. So there we go. And then create it at date time, default now. Perfect. Now we're going to create one more database that is a user. So user can have a lot of credit, like they can buy, they can have a lot of credit that they can purchase at a time. So we want to make sure we track that as well. So user would have an ID of string, ID, unique, and then it's going to be a default of UUID. And then user ID would be same as authenticated ID. So unique as well. And then total credit. This is going to be how much total purchase they made so far. So they can buy a lot of time. So default default would be 1,000 or 10,000. So by default, we're gonna give user 10,000 AI credit. So that's good. We can pull that data and then display it in our chart over here. So that's all good. Next, since we made some changes here, we're gonna do is npx Prisma generate. I'm gonna close the server as well. And then we're gonna npx Prisma push db push. So I'm gonna go to the neon, refresh neon. You can see all the data has been generated over here. That is great. Perfect. So let's see what we need to do in our app. So we need to make sure we're giving some URL back to the data, to the user, so we know exactly where they're going. So let's kind of make that happen. So here we're gonna do is purchase, let purchase, the user purchase. You go to await db.purchase that we just created. Create. Every time we're gonna create a new purchase. Data would be user ID is user ID. Credit would be 10,000. That is great. And then let Stripe customer is equal to await db.stripe customer dot find unique. I hope we created that right. Oh, I misspelled that. Customer. So we're gonna generate again because of the misspelling. Let's see if it fixes it over here. So npx generated, npx db push. Now it should come up. There we go. Dot create. Dot find unique. We're just gonna try to find the value if it's present. Where user ID is gonna be user ID. If it's there, that means we're also gonna select the Stripe customer ID to be true. So it have to be true and it have to be there. So if a user already purchased something, we're gonna be like, oh, we found that user Stripe customer before he purchased something before, right? If not, if we don't have a Stripe customer created, we're gonna create a Stripe customer. So here, this is how we're gonna do that. Customer is equal to await Stripe. We're gonna go to the Stripe customers dot create. So we go into Stripe, we're creating a customer from Stripe. We're actually initializing a Stripe here, which we should have done on the top right here. So we're gonna do const Stripe is equal to new Stripe. We're gonna bring in the Stripe from Stripe that we installed before. Here we're gonna do this process dot env dot Stripe underscore secret key. Let me go so that we'll check that. We have a secret key of Stripe right here, which pasted a little bit ago. Make sure we paste it over here as string. It should be string. And then we're gonna do is our API version. API version is gonna be, you can find that in the Stripe developers over here. This is the API version we're using. I'm just gonna paste that over here. There we go. Perfect. So we have that Stripe loaded up in our project and we can use it over here. So if the Stripe customer is not created, we're gonna create a Stripe customer. We're gonna do is email. Email is gonna be user, gonna come from. We're gonna use a current user from auth as well. So current user, and then we're gonna do is const user is equal to await current user. This is gonna give us email address of the user, so we can get more information about the user, and then we're gonna paste that in here as well. So dot email address, the first one is gonna be email address. So we're gonna give the Stripe customers in the Stripe client our email, and we should be good. So it's gonna create a Stripe customer ID, and then we're gonna do is let Stripe customer is equal to await db.stripe customer.create. This time we're going to create a Stripe for our database right here. And then we're going to pass in our data to be user ID is user ID. And then Stripe customer ID would be customer that's coming from stripe.id. So Stripe own ID. That is great. We have done a lot. Next, we're going to do is create the session. So this is the important part. Const session is going to be await Stripe checkout session create. We're going to create a session. And customer is going to be Stripe customer Stripe customer ID. Line item would be the line item that we created. Mode would be payment. Success URL would be our local host. So HTTP, this is the test version. We're going to update this when we deploy. Localhost 2000/dashboard. And then we're going to do is cancel URL. It's going to be just the URL without dashboard. So let's do that for now. And then metadata would be user ID of user ID. There we go. So that's perfect. We are almost done. We also have to do one last thing to do a complete Stripe completion, which is the webhook setup, which is a mandatory one. So this is all about our side of things. So next we're going to do is return, just to complete this out, return next response.json, and then we're going to pass in the URL. So URL session.url. So this is going to give us a URL, this session that we created, and we're going to use that URL to force the user to, let's say right here, to force the user to push to that Stripe URL. So we're going to use that right over here once we get back. And then for the error handling, we're going to do is return new next response. I'm going to fix that. And then we're going to have an internal error with a status of 500. There we go. So that's all good. Next, we're gonna do the webhook, which you can find more information about this. To learn more, you're gonna see the webhooks overview. And in here, you're gonna go through all the places you can do the API webhooks. So in order to do the webhook, we need to do like a client. So in Windows, you do is download the Stripe over here. You download, I have the Windows version, you can download the other one, the Mac if you have. So download this, and then we're gonna unzip it. And the path where you unzip, we're gonna use cmd.exe on there. So it's gonna create the CLI. But in order to do that, we actually have to create a webhook. So this is just making sure our Stripe is online and is able to handle the payment. So we need to create the webhook, which is a mandatory one. So what we have to do is you're gonna find more information over here. So this is the webhook, like standard one. You just look for what kind of event are you sending. What we're gonna send is a payment event. So if your payment is successful, it kind of like handle that payment. So let's do that. So what we're gonna do is create a webhook under the API /webhook, and then inside we're gonna say route.ts. So you see over here they have the API. They don't have the API, but you usually create it on the next /API/webhook on that end of things. So we create a webhook route. Now in here we're gonna make the webhook. So we're gonna bring the Stripe as usual from Stripe, and then I'm gonna do this const Stripe. I'm actually gonna copy paste it from the other one, so I have to recreate it again. Copy this whole thing, paste it over here, and then we're gonna do is const async function post request would be request, and then we're gonna do is const body equal to await request.text. You can find a lot about webhooks, how to create it in here. So it's very similar, but we should have like a next version of it that is similar to Next.js, how to handle it, but it's very similar in times as well. So what we're gonna do is we'll get the body. We can also get a signature, which is coming from headers, the Next.js headers, .get, .stripe signature, and then we're gonna create an event, and we're gonna do a try catch block. So in the try, we're gonna do the event is equal to stripe.webhook.construct event, and we're gonna do this body. We're gonna pass in body, and pass in a signature, and then we're gonna pass in the webhook secret key. A webhook secret key, you're gonna find it right when you create an endpoint or test in local, and we're gonna give you, this is the secret key that we got. You can also get it one way. Another way is to download this. So I have it downloaded. So I have it downloaded on my file right here. So Stripe is here, right here. And then I can do is cmd.exe. It's going to open up this. And I can do Stripe login. It's going to take me to a login authentication. It will open a website like this. I can do this right there. Website like this. And then I can magic social. And then it's going to see allow access granted. That is great. Now, once we have that, you're gonna be done. The next you're gonna do is you're gonna listen the webhook. So if we go to the webhook right here, so this one is completed. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do the listen, copy that, go to the command, and then instead of this, I have the webhook in the API slash webhook. So I'm gonna press enter. It's hitting my webhook right here, and then it's giving me a secret, which is the same secret you get in here as well. So it's the same thing. So what I'm gonna do is go over here, webhook secret, paste it in there, type webhook secret. That is good. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring that over here. The process.env.webhook stripe webhook secret. And then that's good. We're gonna do is catch error. Is if something goes wrong with the webhook connection, we're gonna return next response.json error equal to invalid signature, and then status would be 400. There we go. There we have it. That's the right way. And then next we're gonna do is we're gonna start creating the session of the webhook. So you can see there's this session handling the event, the payment. So we're gonna do is const session is equal to event dot data dot object as stripe dot checkout dot session. And then we're gonna do is const user ID. It's gonna be session. This is coming from the metadata. So it's coming from right here. So we know Stripe knows the user ID, metadata dot user ID. That's great. If now we're gonna do is event dot type is equal to checkout dot session dot completed. What we're gonna do. So if this is the event, and we're gonna throw an error here. If the user ID is not present, we shouldn't be completing the checkout. So we're gonna return an error. Next response is gonna be invalid session. And here we're gonna do status of 400. And then we're gonna do is right after inside this, if the user is ID is present, then we're gonna do a try catch one more time. Here we go, try catch. And in here we're gonna do how to handle the thing. So in here we're gonna do is const find user by user ID. It's going to await db dot user dot find unique. And we're going to do is where user ID is equal to user ID. So we're going to find the user from there. And then if the find user is not present, that means something that user need to be created. So await db.user, which is creating it over here. So user, and then user.create. What we're going to do is right here. Data would be user ID, and then total credit would be the initial credit, 10,000, plus the new credit, which you just bought. If you bought this time, this is gonna add 10,000 credit to your total credit. So that's good. If that is not there, we're gonna do else we're just gonna update whatever we have. So if the initial purchase, we're just gonna add 10,000 to the original free 10,000. If it's not an initial purchase, that means the user purchased that before. That means the user exists. So if that's the case, the users already exist, then we're just gonna add an additional 10,000 to whatever they have before. So db.user.update where user ID is equal to user ID. Data would be total credit. That is find user ID by user ID dot total credit. Whatever they have, if they have 40,000, 50,000 credit, they can have that. And then we're gonna add 10,000 on top of that because they just made a one-time purchase. So that's great. Now we're gonna do is we're gonna handle an error over here on the catch. We're gonna do return new next response invalid event. Let's say invalid event right here. Right here. So we're gonna hold else. This is gonna say invalid event. The status of 200. In this try catch, we're gonna say the user is not present. So invalid user, not user, invalid user, not authorized, yeah, something like that. And here, wrap it around bracket as well. This else should be on here, right there. So there we have this if else, and then we're gonna return an error for this. So yeah, that should be good. So we have the event one more time. We're getting the body, getting the signature, creating an event of the construction webhook with the Stripe webhook secret. If the secret doesn't work, we're gonna try an error. Then we get a session, create a Stripe checkout session, get the user ID, and then we're gonna create the event type. If this is the type, we're gonna check if the user is authenticated. If the user is authenticated, we're gonna find the user by user ID. If we found the user, we're good. If we not found the user, we're gonna create a user. and then we're gonna handle how many credit to give to the user. So if it's a first time purchase, we add 10,000 to the original 10,000 for free. If the user is already there, that means user have some total credit that they purchased before. So we're gonna add some credit on top of that, and then we're gonna show some error. So that's the webhook thing. Let's see if our webhook is running, perfectly running. That's good. Let's try and check this out if it's working in our favor or not. If we get an error, we gotta fix some stuff. But purchase, click on it. I have to npm run dev as usual. I turned it off. That was good for me to turn it off, so we can start fresh. Okay, so let's get started. We're gonna do one more thing. We forgot to add the router.push, right? So right here, let's see, upgrade. We shouldn't be using that. So we're getting some URL back from our first route right here. So our upgrade checkout route is giving us some session, and the session have a URL that we're getting back. So we're going to use that to push the user to that route. So here we're going to use the router dot push is equal to response dot data dot URL. So have that in here, handle, and the webhook is going to handle the successful payment processing. So purchase, let's see how it loads first time. We're getting to Stripe page over here. See, this is coming from our first the checkout route. So we name some stuff in here. So that's like over here. And then we have an email. So I'm just going to email.com 42424242. That's like the Stripe S credit card value. Make sure your year is more than 24 because it have to be more than the year we are at now. And pay, let's see what happens. Looks like our payment was successful, but our handle something broken, maybe no response is returned. So yeah, we are on the webhook. We didn't return a response over here. So that we have to do is, I mean, we returned so many response that it probably got forgotten in here. So new, next. This is the webhook response. If it, we got to do a success response in here. Success. And then we're going to do the status of 200. So this is the response if we pass in everything. So if we pass all of this, then we'll return a success. So let's try that again. Let's go back. I think this error handling it's a good way to see the code in action. So I think it's a good thing that we're going to trial and error. Stripe already knows my email, so that's pretty cool. So we have it. So pay, green, all in. It's probably, it posted, it worked, but we probably had some issues on our checkout where we have to do our this. We probably made some mistakes in here. So let's see the success neon if we get any data in here. So Stripe ID was created. This was successfully created. So we made two purchases. So first purchase of 10,000, second purchase of 10,000. Stripe ID was created as well. So everything worked. It looked like in the front end, something went wrong. So let's check that out. Like it's probably very minor. We have HTTPS. It shouldn't be HTTPS. It's HTTP for our local host. Remember, I think it's HTTP. Let's double check. So HTTP. So we probably have the S in here. That's That's the mistake we made. Pretty cool, no worries. I'm gonna do that again just to see. I think we probably have like 40,000, credit after that because we purchased so much stuff that actually went through. Just our front end success URL was wrong. So it didn't redirect to the right URL. Let's see, this time. Perfect, we got that. Let's go to our Neon and see how many. We probably 3 purchases. The user have 40,000. Customer created. Perfect. Everything is working as is. I'm also glad we had some huddle on our way, so we now understand the code in much better way. So we are actually seeing things in better details. So that's good. The next only part that we have left is the nice AI usage counter. We're gonna use the Next.js ShadCN. We're gonna use ShadCN Chart, which is like the new component that we built. Beautiful chart using recharts. Now, most of the components in here are gonna be like client component, but it kind of like works really well. I think they have like really cool things to work with. Like you guys can play around with this. You can grab any of this we want, but for me, I'm gonna use this. This is pretty nice, and the animation is really nice too. You have like a nice animation when loading a page. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna coming to an end. So I'm gonna do is AI usage in here. In a component, we're gonna make a component called AI usage. That's gonna grab. So since this is a client component, we have to put this a little bit away. Now we are gonna grab this only when we have the data that we can inject into. So we're gonna grab the data using server component because it's so much easier to grab data in server component. So I'm gonna create a server component called AI usage.tsx. So in here, we're not gonna do much, to be honest. The only thing we're gonna be doing is AI usage. And we're gonna bring in the chart component over here. So AI chart will be in here. And we're gonna feed in some props on that component. But we're gonna grab a lot of stuff in this component by itself. So let's do that. First thing we're gonna do is check in our user ID, the good old user ID from the auth. Very useful. Bring that up in here from the Clerk server. If the user ID is not here, we need to redirect them to the home page. Right. Sure. Redirect that. Checking some user ID server. It's coming from navigation. Or we can redirect them to the home page or the welcome page, right? So let available bill credit and then let total usage. So every time we're gonna count some usage of the user as well, so we can show both side usage and the available credit. So we're gonna bring in some AI output data to collect the AI usage. So user AI output is equal to await db dot AI output dot find many. So we're gonna find all the AI output that the user created, where the user ID is equal to the user ID that's logged in. So we're only finding the user ID of the logged in user. We're only finding the AI output of this logged in user. Make this into async. Next, we're gonna do is we're gonna create if user AI output dot length is greater than 0. That means the user created some AI output. Perfect. So we're gonna do is we're gonna loop through that and kind of add that, make that total ID counter go up. So we're gonna calculate that. So user AI output dot for each is equal to output. That's gonna be total usage is equal to total usage plus we're gonna combine that into a number output This is the output from each of these output. So user, let's go back to our app. So user have multiple output. So we're gonna grab both of the output, and then we're gonna calculate the description. How many words are in there in the description, and we're gonna put that in the usage, and then we're gonna do is revalidate path. So that is great. And then after that, we're gonna do is we're gonna find the user credit, the total credit. So we calculated some user output right over here. Total usage is being calculated over here. Let's console log this to see you guys what is a user usage, total usage, and the AI chart is gonna be in the layout. So let's bring that up as well so we can see what's happening. So right on the layout of the dashboard, right after this, we're gonna do this AI usage component. The usage is 2104, which is great. We created the AI usage. Now we have to calculate the AI. Now we have to calculate the user credit, like how many credit the user have so far. So user credit is equal to await db.user.find many. So if we go to the user, we have the user credit, that's the total credit. I'm gonna grab that from the user, and then actually find unique would be case where user ID is equal to user ID as string. That's great. And then we're gonna be just purchasing that over there. Then we're gonna do is available credit is equal to user credit, right? User credit dot total credit. So now we're gonna do is we're gonna create a chart over here. We might have to come back and restructure this a little bit, but for now I think this look okay. Let's console log the available credit, see if you're getting anything back. We're getting available credit 40,000, perfect. Now what we're gonna do is go to our charts. So we're gonna make a new component called AI chart.tsx. The AI chart is gonna live in the AI usage. So in here, we're gonna bring in the ShadCN. We have to install this chart, by the way. So let's go ahead and install that ShadCN chart. There. Install that. So once we have the chart installed, we're gonna go back to the chart to bring in the one we like. This one, view code. I'm gonna bring in pretty much all of this. Let's see. And in the chart, we're gonna copy paste that. Make sure this is a Ux client because everything inside is basically the client component. So we don't need the card at all. We need we might need the label and radio one. So we need this one. There we go. So what we're gonna do is chart config. So let's copy that as well and then make some changes to it. Right here. Chart config. We're gonna have what's called able label. And the label would be label, and then for this one it's gonna be used. Our label would be used. This is for the tooltip kind of like settings. And then we forgot to create the component. So there we go. AI chart. There we have it. And in the AI chart, we're gonna paste in the chart container over here. So see, we don't need the card. We need a chart container. So here we copy this chart container to chart container. Paste this in here. Perfect. Now we're gonna change this slowly as well. So the AI chart is gonna take in two things. If we label credit, total usage, and we're gonna make sure we clear out the TypeScript. The available, make sure, see, the available credit gonna have a number, and total usage gonna have a number as well. There we go. And then, so we have the chart data in here. We're gonna bring it up inside right before the return. And the chart data will have available right here. This is gonna be the available credit, and this one's gonna be used. It's gonna be our total usage. There we go. So it's coming from this, gathering this two and the color of it. So that is great. We got the chart config set up over here. Now we need to do is right here. We're gonna change things up. We're gonna do is total usage divided by, this is just for the font of it, available credit. Do that, and then we're gonna say is credit usage. So let's go back to, we're gonna bring that into our AI chart over here. So let's do that. What we'll do is AI chart, and we're gonna pass in available credit equal to available credit, total usage, total search. That is great. So look like our chart is not working. The reason why is because we haven't configured this to show the available and use, that we kind of like change up. So all you have to do is go to the radial bar and change that to available right here. Fill, and then we're gonna change this to used. We're also gonna change the color of it. So color, I will make this available, and the mobile one should be to used. And then we're gonna go to the CSS of it and then change it on that our side of, as well. Global CSS right here. So let's find chart one right there. So we're gonna change that to 7050, and then for the chart two, we are gonna be changing that to 340, 75 percentage, and then 55 percentage. So I'm gonna copy this two into the root as well. There, I'll refresh that. We're gonna fix the typo right here as well. Change that to used instead of user, so it's hitting the right spot on here, and it's getting the right color right there. So the color, we change that to this two right over here. So that should do it. We're gonna change our styling a little bit because I feel like it's too big over here. So I'm gonna do is go to the chart and change the font of it a little bit over here. So text would be SM, not 2XL. And then we're gonna change the value of this to available credit instead. It's gonna be number, so we can do is number, the whole thing. So there we have it. Let's go ahead and upgrade to another purchase, see if anything changes. So I'm gonna do is upgrade the purchase to 42424242. So you see it changes to 50,000 now. If I hover over 50,000 as well. So perfect. Our available credit is working as we wanted. We have everything in order as well. Everything is working as we want. All we have to do is play around with this app and then deploy. So only thing left is deploy of this application. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to create a new Vercel Deploy. And in here, we are going to be doing is going to the dashboard. I'm going to in here, I'm going to add a new file to my GitHub. So I'm going to create a new repo called Magic Social. Public, create that. And then before you push any of the changes in GitHub, you also want to make sure one more thing is that when you go to the Gemini AI component, you want to get rid of this. You don't want to push your secret key. So get rid of that. Go to the env and then just grab the Gemini key to there as like a process. So what you're going to do is get rid of the string and then do process.env.Gemini API key. Make sure it's spelled exactly as it is over here, and it should be good to go. We're gonna make sure we're not gonna push the env. So go to the git ignore and add that to the env as well. So right here, env. So we are not making sure we're not pushing that to our repo. Perfect. I'll add the change. Initial commit. Change it up. And then I'm gonna push this to that right here. What we're gonna do is publish the branch. Refresh it. It's all good. Go to the Vercel. Refresh this. Add a new project. And you're going to see the Magic Social import. Do the import right there. Magic Social. That is great. And now environment variable, we're going to do is we're going to copy all the environment variable that we have over here. So I'm going to copy all this, paste it in here. We're also going to copy the database variable as well. Copy that, paste it over here as well. That's good. One thing we want to do is remember in the route we had other route. In this one we had this over here. We want to change that to something that Vercel gives us. So the Vercel is going to give us something called process. Right here I'm going to choose process dot env dot Vercel URL. So that's going to be the Vercel URL that Vercel gives us by default. And then another one is process.env.Vercel. Let's go URL. That's perfect. So that is great. You want to make sure have this in there, that in here. So we add the changes to it right here. Vercel env add. Push that changes to the webhook. Kind of like works with the right URL. And then we don't have anything on the webhook. Let's see. We should be all good. So there we have it. Environment variable. You can learn more about it in here. So you have an idea of how it works. So that's it pretty much for our application. We have all the environment pretty much in place. I'm gonna do is deploy this right now. And one thing you need to do as well is the webhook. Remember, we use the CMD to run our webhook. So we need to create a webhook that is in the development mode. So it's right here. So we're gonna do is we're gonna deploy that and we're gonna create a webhook in here so we know exactly what we're talking about. Have the deployment come in, it's gonna give us a URL and then we're gonna enter that URL and change the environment variable of the webhook that we had. The webhook we had was for a local environment, so we're gonna change that to the webhook to give from this endpoint. And yep, just one small setup left. So let's see how much longer it takes to deploy. Like we run into some error. Let's check what happened in here. So we need to do one more thing. I mean, it's just coming up again. So this could be a Prisma error, but we do have a Prisma setup in our project. We need to take care of that as well. So what we have to do is every time we do a build, we need to do a Prisma generate and next build. So that makes sense. So everything should be good. Let's try that again. Is my generate build. So I'm gonna do is build comment update. Things changes. Let's go back to our project. Social repository. What's going on? So comment update. Once we have this added, we're gonna do another deployment. So for the project domains, this is the domain. So we can use this to kind of like do this over here. And then we're gonna do is go to API/webhook. Make sure they're there. And then select event would be checkout event of session completed that we added on our webhook in here. Session completed, checkout session completed. So that's exactly what we're listening for. Add events. And then we copy this webhook, paste it in our env. We don't need to paste it in here, but I'm just gonna paste it in here just in case. Refill. There we go. Signing secret. Copy that. Paste it in here. This is gonna be a shorter one. And then we also wanna update that in our environment in here. So go to the environment variable. You see the webhook environment. And then we're gonna edit that. Copy the shorter one. Just like a live webhook right now. And then we are gonna see where we at in our project. Ready. So we're gonna do a redeployment of it. At the same time, let's delete all the data so we know it's working properly. The data is clean. I'm gonna delete that, get rid of all these tabs up here in building. So it looks like our build is successful. Let's go to our URL. Let's go to the regular URL so we know exactly what's up. The project domains. Go to this production URL instead. We'll go to a new tab. Copy that URL. We have this. Sign in. Continue. All about the dev. I signed in. We have to fix this, by the way. So we're gonna do that in a little bit. But let's just see if we create the stripe right here. So right there, Oliver dev@gmail.com. photo. To purchase something. Going back to not the right API, so we're gonna see what happened there. $20,000. So let's fix that error, and it's gonna be all like final touches of this application. So let's see right here. So that look like the Stripe API worked pretty good. It's just the redirection is a little messy. So what we can do is we can go use the original URL in here. That's gonna make it easy to work with. Here's the original URL. Perfect. So we have the live webhook API all in. That's one change. The other change we need to do is on the usage of things. So it's giving us not a number. That means it's not defined. So what happening if the user doesn't have any user credit, like you haven't built any user credit yet, what we're gonna do is if available credit, user credit does not exist, we're gonna do a 10,000 available credit, else we're gonna do that number. So let's check that if it fixes these two things. Small fixes. Oh well, that should work. So do that. Go to the deployment. Should come up right here. Let's delete the data again. Created the data again, so delete this stuff. So it's ready. We're gonna do redeployment one more time. See if it fixes those issues. Let's go to our website again, right? Our domain, this right here, this, go to that site. Let's do the credit one more time. It's working properly. So look like the issue stays. So let's clean this up a little bit more. So if the user credit exists, then we'll give them this. If it doesn't exist, then we give them 10,000. That should be the logic, if the other way around. But yep, that should be the logic place. Fix the logic. I'll change this again. So if the user have some data on the user credit, we should have posted data. If it's not, we would do 10,000. So let's go back over here, do the deployment one last time. Hopefully this is it. Just coming back in action. Let me see if there's data in here. No data, that's good. So our deploy is ready. Go in here. Hit 10,000 at the first. Log out right here. Sign in the user. You see our first is 10,000. I can do a magic tool over here. Let's do a tweet or Instagram hashtag. We haven't used Instagram hashtag, so we can do workout hashtags, right? Me 10 good Instagram workout hashtags. Generate content. Generated some content. We saw on the deployed site as well. We go to the history. We see the history, and then we go to the upgrade. We upgrade some purchase in here. See, we have flexibly purchase on a live deployed site. 20,000 now added, and we have 859 just used from our history. we can go and do a lot of stuff with this content generation. I hope you guys had a lot of fun building this. We did a lot of different things. We built a full stack application with Next.js, and then we had backend database with Neon, Postgres. We use Prisma Client to connect those two. We use Clerk for authentication, and Gemini AI to have the AI generate content for us. It was really cool. We added a lot of like features for this. We also added this right here, and we also have our output history and upgrade right here as well. We interacted with Stripe API webhooks on our live site right now deployed, and we learned how to deploy the site as well. So a lot of jam-packed information condensed into one. Make sure you like, comment down below what you like to see in the future, how you enjoy this tutorial, and subscribe to my channel. I'm going to bring more tutorial like this if you guys keep on supporting. I also have like an academy, Modern Engineering Academy, that you can join, and we're going to do a lot of stuff in that academy to lift each other up, become a better developer. So go ahead, join that, and I'll see you inside and around YouTube as well.